Hello and welcome to the Guitar Hang Podcast. I'm your host, John Stancorb. Well, it's Season 9, Episode 9, and today we're hanging with one of the most innovative and inspiring modern guitarists out there, Angel Vivaldi. Fresh off tour performing with the Steve Morse Band, Angel joins me to talk about his musical beginnings, his evolution as a player, his various creative projects, and how he's built such a strong presence through social media and branding, all while staying true to his art. So grab your guitar, pour your favorite drink, and settle into John's Guitar Lounge. This is going to be a deep and inspiring conversation with the one and only Angel Vivaldi. I wanted to start by congratulating you on a wildly successful tour with Steve Morse and the guys, Van and Dave. What besides being monster musicians, what amazing sweetheart guy. They're just amazing people.
Yeah, man. I think it's a testament to when you're a musician and you really put authenticity at the forefront of how you operate. It
Yeah.
just connects to people in a way that just really, makes a big impact. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity, man. It was an incredible, incredible experience. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely an era of the music industry where you have to wear many hats. You just have to be honest with what hats look good on you and which hats you're willing to modify to fit
Right.
what God gave you, and I think that's a point of being authentic in sense of like being honest with your strengths and your weaknesses and the things that you're weak about, you know, be honest. Is that something that you want to get better at?
Sure.
If you're an amazing guitarist, um, do I want to be good at alternate picking and legato and tapping and sweeping and rhythm playing and palm muting and pinch harmonics and harmonics? It just you have to choose, you know, because in order to be successful these days, you're going to spread yourself quite thin.
Right.
And you have to, and sometimes you pick a path and you don't know that it wasn't the path for you until you're halfway there, but at least you learned something from it.
Right.
And that's the whole point of continuously trying and trying and failing and trying and trying and failing. Like fail. Like the more you fail, the better the closer you are to succeeding.
Right.
The thing is, and I worked with a lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of clients with, mentoring and just helping them navigate the music industry because it's constantly changing. Um, at the end of the day, we can have this conversation in the year 2076, but the one rule will always remain a good song. Now, and something that's memorable. And the whole package that's memorable is not, it's these days, it's not just a song because there's no shortage of good music. I mean, people will argue, but listen, if you spend enough time digging, you were going to find something incredibly impactful, incredibly influential, and just something new and fresh because that's everyone's doing that. And I think people are waking up to the fact of I don't have to be the best. I just have to be different. What is the best way to be different? Just to be yourself. Just to be yourself. Have the bravery and the courage to be yourself.
Mhm.
And let people see you finding yourself and finding your voice without shame. Because if you look back at your post from 5 years ago and you cringe, thank God.
Right.
Thank God, you know, that's
Right.
growth. That's growth, I will keep yapping, so I'm gonna stop right there
No, I
because
think it's cool stuff because I think that there's having taught guitar for 40 years, I run into students that they want to do everything. They get
hmm
excited about Brent Mason style playing as much as they get excited about Ingve playing as much as they get excited about Mike Stern playing, and it's very difficult to make any real headway when you're trying to you know traverse so many different lanes. It's kind of nice to be able to find your lane and find your authentic voices, which, to your point,
hmm
so it can be a real challenge, especially for up and coming players. I mean, if somebody got into the blues and discovered you're playing, they may have a whole different take on what is possible, you know. So
Yeah,
it's
but I think to your point, you have to go into it open-minded as well, The best analogy I have is this is, if I'm walking in the street and someone runs up to me and starts speaking Japanese, I'm not going to understand what they're saying because they're vibrating at a frequency that I don't understand. It doesn't mean that they're not saying anything. It just means that it's not for me. It's up to me to say, wow, I really love how phonetic, I love the phonetics of that language. It appeals to me. Like, I want to learn how to, I want to learn how to understand it. And then you want to learn how to speak it. You don't want to learn how to speak something that you don't understand. And I feel that's what happens with a lot of young players. They see the Brett Masons, they see, the Matteo Mancusos, they see, all these different players playing with different flavors. And without sitting back while they're in their car, listening to what they're saying and understanding the blueprints of that genre and their style, they go right to learning the licks. Stop, listen, just listen. And when you listen, you'll time will tell if it's going to stick or not stick. If it sticks, yeah, it's like, oh man, I can't stop thinking about that one lick, man. I wonder what he's doing there. Then you go online, of course. Nowadays, you can find people playing everything.
Yeah.
And then you see them play it, and then you're like, that's amazing. Then you do it. And you do it, and you get bored of it. And then you start, well, I would do it this way.
Yeah.
That's how I started writing music. And despite, I'm 40 now, so like there was no YouTube, I'm analog childhoods and digital adulthoods,
Right.
um, and it's appealing in that way. And I feel, and obviously the road's not written for anyone. Like you said, once you're in your lane, listen, you have the ability to make that lane as wide as you want.
Right.
You can make it as wide as you want. Because I mean, myself as an example, obviously I'm known to do like, more John Petrucci style progressive metal. But my last record was all, funk Latin fusion. It's very like Chick Corea meets Prince meets Tori Amos, and it was such a free. I mean, listen, objectively speaking, from a business aspect, it's like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing, man? It's such a risk, but um, it's a bigger risk for me to not live authentically. And that's the music I grew up on. Like Eric Johnson is my number one. Tori Amos is probably my number two.
Yeah.
And growing up in the '90s, for me, very gradual. It went from Savage Garden, Hanson, Meredith Brooks, Duncan Sheik, to Bush, Green Day, to Blink-182, Nirvana, Megadeth, Metallica,
Yeah.
Testament, Yngwie, Soilwork. Very, very gradual. And how can you deny the influence if it impacts you like that, man? Um, yeah, listen, I mean, again, from a business aspect, it's like you're crazy, but I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that weighs more on my conscience personally.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Eric Johnson was a seminal person for I think the Austin City Limits performance because I had just had Tones and I had worn that cassette out because this is going back and and I was just I'm and I guess Avia Musicom came out shortly after the Austin City Limits or I can't remember which came first but anyway having said all that was just a huge there's certain players you have Eric Johnson, Joe Satriani, David Gilmour, these players that kind of leave these mile markers in your past, and you go, man, these players are all. If you remove them, it would kind of be like removing the skeleton from your musical DNA. It's like those are all the through lines. So it'd be interesting to find out was this something that you came to very early and you're involved in you had a musical family or friends that were playing or buddies in the
Uh,
neighborhood.
so to be honest, no, it was very difficult for me. So, being Hispanic, we grew up in very, very urban areas.
Yeah,
So it's predominantly Hispanic and African American. So in that culture, it's predominantly like, rap, R&B,
yeah, yeah,
but everyone listened to Spanish music. So like salsa, merengue, bachata, stuff like that. And that music was just so incredibly important to the community. Like dancing was an incredibly important part of
yeah,
me growing up. My first ever musical experience was actually playing at church. and we would play those Spanish genres, salsa, merengue, and bachata. What we would do is they would take Mark Anthony songs and change the lyrics to be religious, and we would do those songs to relate to the younger demographics of Hispanic people in the community to get them into the church, and it worked. And we had such an amazing time, and I was 15, and they would call me Little Santana because there's no space for electric guitar. There was no space for electric guitar,
Yeah.
but they just saw that I had this fire in me, and they were just like, "We need this kid. Like this is gonna sound great." And of course, me coming in guns blazing, it's just like, "No, no, 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 no. This is when you play." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it wasn't until we recorded ourselves in rehearsal, because the musical director was very, very helpful and tactful with the 15-year-old. Like there's one thing, there's good musicians and there's good teachers. He was both. And he needed to teach me with just putting a mirror up in front of me. And he showed me the recording, and he's like, "This is how you want to play. This is how we sound when you want to play." And I was just all over the place. I was doing funk triads, but it was just too busy because we have a choir, we have horns, we have bass, we have percussion, we have a drum set.
Yeah.
There's no space for that stuff. And when I heard it, I'll never forget the day. We were in his apartment, and this little Tascam digital recorder, and like I heard it, and I just had like I started sweating profusely. I was just so embarrassed, you know? And from that moment on, it's like, okay, why? And I realized this. Why did I pick up a guitar? Honestly, the reason why I picked up a guitar was because of Kurt Cobain. And despite him not being a technical guitarist, he knew when to play and when not to play
Yeah.
for the song. For the
Yeah.
song. And I remember everyone saying that in interviews and like Hit Parader from back in the day. And I was just like, this is what it is. It's obviously a different genre, but it's the same concept. Know when to play and when not to play. And from that moment on, it just fundamentally changed the way that I find space in a band. So that's essentially how it was. I mean, there was no one to jam with because no one listened to rock, no one listened to metal, no one listened to, jazz, because George Benson, we had this radio station, CD 101.9, in
Uh-huh.
the area that I lived in. And it was, again, this was more of a lot of the African American community influencing us. So George Benson, Sade, a lot of the smooth jazz stuff was always in the house. Luther Vandross, Anita Baker. Um, so yeah, it was quite a melting pot, but I was in my lonesome as far as my discovery of stuff.
Yeah, it's the great thing that you're picking up on this is the appreciation for the song, but just also just the your space inside of it. Where you can contribute when you have moments to uh, contribute your part, and how powerful that can be when you have your moment. And you understand how to make a statement, even if it's just an 8 bar solo.
Mhm.
Just having an appreciation of trying to elevate the tune, and it can be a little tricky these days for. There's so many great guitar players out there, but I don't know if they're in a situation where they're having to play. I mean, I played a lot at church when I was younger, and
Mhm.
playing with an orchestra and with a choir, and you
Oh
kind of
wow.
had it wasn't about extended guitar solos. You kind of had to find, maybe a playing dyads, just a 2 note little thing that went in the scope of it. If you took it away, you'd notice it, but it was one of those things. It just elevated the song a little bit because everybody elevating it just a little bit was a very powerful thing. But it seems like these days a lot of guitar players, especially guys that are in the shred, it's amazing technique, but I don't know if they're getting out much to learn other things or learn how they can conceptualize what they can
Well,
do with other players.
you're absolutely correct, but listen, I'm in that sort of limbo of relating to younger players, but also relating to, more mature players. And here's the difference. The difference is that, so I grew up in my first like claim to fame or exposure was MySpace, right? That was the first time I ever got noticed. People started talking about me in forums.
Yeah.
And back in those days, you're talking 20 years ago, we were the when we were ready, the internet was there and we posted us ready. What we're seeing now are young people growing, very young people growing. We didn't see that for our generations.
Yeah.
We came out. So once we were out, they didn't see us copying everyone and doing all the immature stuff. Like we did the same shit. We just did it differently.
Yeah.
Nowadays though, we see the whole ugly killing of the cow, like them being a copy of this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy or this girl. And it's easy for us to just like, come on, get sophisticated, get with the program, stop playing so many notes. But the truth is, I do have a feeling that in 5, 10, 12 years, that will happen because it happened for us. Well, not all of us, but it happened for us. And I like to have the faith that, you know, um, they're going to grow out of that. I think the thing is too is, so here's the thing. So polyphia, that's the best target that everyone can talk about, right? Polyphia. Let's use them as an example. So we were coming up around the same time. I think they started a little bit after. So I started in 2005. They were probably like maybe 2010s. And when they hit it big in terms of finding their sound, I had a lot of clients, because I work with mostly guitarists, they bring up polyphia a lot in one way or another.
Yeah.
And, I'm buddies with those guys. And I would listen to their music and I would sit here and listen to it. And I'm just always thinking, like, what is it that they're trying to say, man? Like, I don't get it. I don't quite get it. Years working with younger people, all you need to do is communicate with younger people and you'll know exactly what they're trying to say. Because they are playing exactly how they speak. And they're speaking the exact way that they're exposed to information.
Yeah.
That generation is slammed with constant feeds, constant information. So their brains are trying to process all this. So what ends up happening is you have the creation of what I call the shriff. It's a shreddy riff that doesn't end. It's just and it doesn't seem to resolve. It just goes for a really long time. It's like a run-on sentence that doesn't have the proper punctuations. That's the type of phrasing that they do. And once I realize that they're just speaking on the guitar like they speak to me, because in my consultations, they'll be like, and then I want to do this, but if I do that, and then that's all it is. They're simply expressing themselves in a way that older people, we just can't relate to because we don't have those struggles at all. We have different struggles, you know?
Yeah.
So, and when that clicked with me, I went back and listened to it and I was like, I fucking get it. I get it now. I get it. And from that point, because I'm also slammed with a lot of information,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, actually, now I really dig this. I get it. This is cool, you know? And you can speak from that level of softening because it's especially males, like the male ego who's guitarist, we're just, there's this, you know how it is, man. It's competition. We're competitive people. And I think competition is helpful in the sense that if you can wield that sword responsibly, it'll bring out the best in you, right?
Yeah.
And it'll bring out the best in your peers. But unfortunately, a lot of us just don't have the ability to do it tactfully. So we're just like in a bull in a china shop, just, I did this. And I'm sorry, I just tend to rant. I'm just really passionate about this stuff. So, and anytime you can just tell me to shut up.
That's great.
But so so like I guess a really good example of championing this mindset is Steve Vai. Because Steve Vai, when he discovered Animal as Leaders, he posted about them and they just blew up, right? Pliny, he discovers Pliny, he talks about him and he blows up. Matteo Mancuso, he talks about him and he blows up. That is a man who is he sees the value in different ways of speaking
Yeah.
that he champions them from the get-go. He was the first guitar legend to give guys like me a shot at exposing to exposing to their audience, right?
Yeah. Right.
I often in business consultations I talk about different genres running a maze. So in the early 2000s, all the metalcore bands, Lamb of God, Killswitch Engage, August Burns Red, they're all running a maze. And they're running that maze for an extended period of time. And at some point, when they go into a chamber, the door closes. Whoever's in is in. They'll have a career for the rest of their lives. Whoever's on the other side of that door, they're going to struggle. Now, as you're running that maze, let's say, for instance, the guitar instrumental maze, right? So you have Joe Satriani, you have Steve Vai, you have Yngwie, you have Eric Johnson, you have Steve Morse, you have John Petrucci, you have all these guys running at the way up in the front. Then there's guys like, me, Pliny, Polyphia, Intervals, like all of us running behind.
Yeah.
And it's up to the guys up in front, like Steve Vai, to look back and be like, I like what he's saying. I like his chant that he's using to get him through this maze. Hey, Tosin, come over here. And he's going to grab him and bring him all the way to the front. And then when that door closes, boom,
Yeah.
you're in. Because the door closes because an audience becomes fatigued. Enough's enough. It's like we've seen and heard the formula a million times. We've had our fill. Now it's time to move on to something else. We saw this back in the day. In the 80s, what was it? It was hair metal. In the 90s, it was grunge. 2000s was new metal. 2010s was when it stopped going every 10 years. It started going every 5 years. Because, again, we want to churn it out faster. So that door is closing a little bit sooner than we're anticipating. So when they close it, we're like, no! Right? And we're just banging, and we'll change our song so that someone on the other side can hear us.
Right.
And it's a very valuable thing that happens, but you have to understand too, the guys who are running at the front lines, they also have egos and they're also insecure. Like, I know that we don't like to think of our heroes as insecure people, but they're human, man. They're human. I've met a lot of these guys and I've spoken to a lot of them, and you can just hear the threat because the new guys are doing things that they just can't. But the new guys are like, are you crazy? I'm here because of you.
Right.
You're the reason why I'm here, and you're the reason I will never get to that point where you're at, because there will never be another Metallica. There's never going to be another Guns N' Roses. There's never going to be another Journey. That level of success is never going to happen again. It's just a simple fact, because it used to be an ocean, a very narrow ocean. And then when labels got out of the equation and the internet happened, the ocean of success became much more shallow.
Sure.
So, but it's wider. You go on Spotify, like, my God, there's so many artists with like 50,000 monthly listeners or in the six figures. It's broken up. So we're fish in a shallow lake, but we have enough water above our heads to keep ourselves like sustained. So
Yeah.
the riches of the few become the riches of the many. We can all feed our families. We can all make a comfortable living. It's not like Vi or Metallica, but well, some are like Vi, but Metallica, Guns N' Roses, that's astronomical. But it's broken up, so the pie is wider, and thank God for that, right? Everyone has a little bit more of a voice, but yes.
It's wonderful that you have the artist side of you, but you also are already in advance kind of doing what Steve and Joe and John have done, which is kind of reaching back and grabbing folks to help them through coaching and kind of bring, because, we all are standing on the shoulders of our heroes. So there's many people that look to you that may have decided, I'm going to make this my life as leader. It's you guys who are on the shoulders of Joe, and now you have people who are coming up behind you, and it's exciting that that baton gets passed on. And I guess that's the thing, that the business thing doesn't come as quickly for a lot of folks, because the artistic brain is always thinking one direction, but runs counterintuitive to think about supply and demand or how social media works and all that kind of stuff and how followers and it's a tricky world to navigate, I would suspect, for anybody, whether you're 60 like me or somebody that's maybe 20 that's getting into it to figure out how do I stand out above the crowd. So it's be interesting to see what your take is now on how the evolution of social media is helping, or what can people do to make themselves to make it a little easier.
I mean, the easiest thing is again just to be yourself. And few and people think that they have the bravery to be themselves, but in reality, they just don't. And because it's a scary thing, man. You have to understand. I did this a post yesterday, just things that I've learned in the music industry, and one of the first thing that I say is the person that you are or the persona that you portray online is going to greatly affect whether or not someone's going to relate to your music, for better or worse.
Right.
I know people whose persona is very controversial. They just talk a lot of crap and they just get people riled up because people are addicted to being angry. That's a formula. It's just business, you know? It's just like they're just trying to put food on the kitchen table for their kids.
Right.
In reality, they just don't line up with those ideals. They just know how to play the game. And I definitely, I mean, as much as authenticity is important to me, I don't necessarily judge how someone makes their living. It's entertainment. We're in the entertainment industry. There's so many ways to entertain people. You can entertain people with a story. You can entertain people with a persona. You can be an actor. You can be a musician. You can be a dancer. There's so many ways to do that. And the more layers that you can compress down into your persona, the more appealing you are. Why? Because no one can do exactly what it is that you do, right? There's only one of you. So for me, I can use myself as an example outside of other clients, but videography and visuals and photos and fashion has always been a massive, massive, massive influence on me. It's one of my biggest passions are aesthetics, like even like how I have my home. Like every room is inspiring and it makes me want to work. And um, the visuals, the smell of things, the feel of things, the little things in life that we just easily take for granted. Like I like to focus on fine little details, whether I'm designing a guitar with Charvel or visuals. Another thing I do is have a couple of music videos that have a lot of choreography in them. I have like full dance groups, and that no one does that. That's my thing. But it takes bravery because look at the industry that I'm putting this out into, right? You have to have balls to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I don't care because
Right.
I'm glad that I'm moving someone. The worst thing is indifference. You don't want anyone being indifferent to you. They want to, because at the very end of the day, when they see me playing with Morse or something like that, or they see me doing a crazy cinematic video on a horse, like I did for this guitar here, and they say, "Who the fuck is this guy?" I'm like, "Well, my name's right there. You know who I am now.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished, you know?"
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that you don't want to do it just to set yourself up apart. You want to do it because it's authentic to you and it's easy to do. Because you're going to work really, really hard. Why work harder being someone that you're not? It doesn't make any sense to me. Work smart and hard,
Yeah.
right? And that's the best advice I can give to someone is stay consistent. Do what it is that you want to do. Don't do things because it's a trend. Because by the time you get your chops up or anything like that to be a part of that trend, that door closes.
Yeah.
You only have a couple years now, you know? And at that point, whoever's in, let's say, for instance, this is the door and you have all these guitar instrumentalists who are successful here and all the ones that are still trying to do the thing. Not to say that they can't get through, because there's always exceptions. There's always at least a couple here and there who are super unique, who instead of running and banging on the door, they're going to sit there and they're going to think. They're going to say, all right, what could I do to get myself through this door? And they're going to brainstorm and they're going to find something and they're going to find a way. Chances are they're going to find a different route that cuts in front of everyone else. Who knows? There's no rules. But you have to just be honest with it, because again, if this store is here and the successful people are here and they're making all sorts of money, they have passive streams of income, they have signature guitars, they have signature guitar brands, they have guitar tablature, they have merch, they have signature pedals, they have signature plugins, and you're trying to do that here. You have to understand you're all sharing the same sort of audience pool. You understand? And that audience pool ranges around 2 million people roughly online, okay, with guitar instrumental music. Why are they going to buy your merch over the guy who's killing it and who's already in? So from a business aspect, if you're saying this, if you're singing the same song someone else on this side is singing,
Yeah.
sing your own song. That's the best way I could say.
Yeah, it's interesting that because I've been thinking about this as you're talking, the signature players that have established themselves have an aesthetic, and I think that's kind of where you're coming from. It. I can now kind of connect the dots between not just the playing, but your aesthetic and Steve Vai's. I always thought Steve had this thing where he had a look on stage. He had a thing that was magnetic. It was
Yeah.
a branding that was very magnetic, and came from the artwork, from the video stuff that he did, the fact that he would have clothing changes in the show,
Hmm.
bringing out the Hydra, or on the Ultrazone tour, coming out with the things with the lights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hmm.
Something of it. When you do that, you're just bringing potentially more people in that would maybe not necessarily be interested in instrumental music, but it's reaching a wider audience that just loves the cool aesthetic. And that seems like what some of the videos that I've seen. There was one that I saw where Steve Morse is making a cameo appearance. It's kind of a countryish tune, and
Yeah.
but there's a style and an elegance to that if you love your guitar playing, even you could bring your girlfriend in who's maybe not a
Yeah.
guitar player and watch that, and she would get something equally cool out of it. So it's a brilliant concept to try to bring a lot of people in by finding who are you, where do
Hmm.
you want to go, and how can I make myself unique and individual? Because there's only one Angel, there's only one me, there's only one Steve Vai. How do you find your unique lane and then just do everything to support that? But even looking
Yeah.
at your studio right now, I can tell that you have an eye for composition because you've got the white mesa boogie and the way that it's almost like you've got some kind of who's the oh gosh, what's the Kubrick, the line
Ah,
and the symmetry and all that kind of stuff.
that's a very astute observation, man. And that's the thing, inspiration can come from anywhere. And the bravery that I talk about when I'm saying be yourself, you have to understand that, people look at my aesthetic and they look at Vi's aesthetic and they're like, this is too much. I'm really turned off by it. I'm really turned off by it. It's just too. It's some people read it as very self-indulgent. Like, who does this person think he is? Like doing all this crazy. Who needs six necks on a guitar? Who needs all these wardrobe changes? Who needs to look like that? Who needs to dance? And that is the fear. That's the wall that prevents people from being themselves. The
Yeah,
fear of being judged. You have to get over that because the thing is, our brains are Teflon for good experiences and good comments, and Velcro for bad experiences and bad comments.
yeah,
You, we irrationally put so much weight on being judged that fear mechanism just prevents us from doing anything. And what ends up happening is you get older, the years go by, and then you end up being a troll in the comment section who's insecure because
right.
you're watching someone do something that you wish that you had the balls to do that you never could, and you feel like it's too late. So the best thing that you could do is just be negative in someone's comments. When
Yeah,
simply, like, I'm just a guy trying to write music
right.
and play my own instruments and manage my own career and do my thing. And yet, the thing is, people just do not like that being rubbed in, like their nose being rubbed in what they did and do in life. And
Yeah,
if that helps anyone have the bravery to be themselves, like, go for it, man. Like, there's no better time than now. And everyone says, "Oh, I'm too afraid of the oversaturation." What do you think's going to happen in 3 years? Do you think it's going to be less saturated than it is now?
Yeah, it's true.
Start tomorrow. Start now. Like, what are you like? There's nothing to be afraid about.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be afraid about. You know.
And are those some of the biggest things that you, with your clients, that you run up against, is that there's just the fear of the unknown, or some this kind of exposing themselves, or just putting themselves out there. I guess it can be a debilitating or crippling thing to uniquely be yourself, come hell or high water, whatever. Let the critics, say what they will, but at the end of the day, if you're being your authentic self, that's the only thing that you can do as an artist.
And to get to the nitty gritty of being yourself, you're being yourself right now. I'm not going to be the same person in 5 years. I wasn't the same person 10 years ago. The whole thing is to let people see who you are over time.
Yeah.
Like, so I started in 2003 was when I first started my solo career. Like, everyone who's been following me since then, like, we've got mortgages, we've got kids. Like, life's crazy right now in the world, but chances are life's a lot better than you were when you were 15 figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just maybe don't relate to heavy music in that way, because heavy music for me, like, I went through a lot when I was a kid. So heavy music was a rebellious language that really felt like it gave me power, because anger is an illusion in the sense that like it's better to feel angry than there is to feel powerless. And when you're a kid, you're powerless. You're powerless to your parents' government, and they're powerless to the government, right? So it's layers of not being seen, not being heard. And one of the most impactful songs, my favorite Metallica song, is Dyer's Eve, and it speaks of that exact thing. I'm not a big lyrics person. I'm more melody and song structure, but it just so happens that the riffs and the solo and everything were perfect. But when I sat and that's the first song I sat and listened to the lyrics, and I'm like, wow, it really talks about, there's this one line, "Dear mother, dear father, you cut my wings before I learned to fly."
Yeah.
And incredibly, I just got goosebumps, man. It's just so incredibly impactful for me, because it felt like this is a language I want to speak, because this is how I feel right now. But again, as time goes on, and that's another thing that I often say when in interviews, when I released Away with Words Part 2, which is that fusion record. There's something to growing older with your audience, you know? Some players, like Malmsteen, are just playing the same thing for decades and decades and decades. And I think that there's a coolness to that, but there's also another coolness, not better, not worse, of changing your sound and not being afraid to evolve and show people who you are now.
Yeah.
Because there's enough bands just going on tour, record, tour, record, tour, record, and there's no growth. I'm sorry, there's just no growth. Like, you could put all those songs on one record and it'll sound fine. Just, and I think when people's salaries depend on what you're doing, and that's fine, and as long as you're enjoying it. But yeah, let people see who you are now, and let them see who you are in 5 years. The main thing that people come to me about is the consistency.
Yeah.
That's the Achilles heel of every single one of my clients. Consistency. Constantly posting, constantly creating.
Yeah.
You have to understand the definition of what a commitment is. This is what people just don't understand. A commitment is something that you decide to do long after the desire to do it has left you.
Yeah.
That is what a commitment is. So when you commit yourself to doing a career, like, I'm going to give this one shot, like COVID, 2020, when everyone was at home and everyone had the gift of time, I was never busier, because everyone was like, oh my God, like, this is, again, when no one knew what was going on. Everyone thought the end of the world and everyone was going to die and everyone was getting sick. With the brush of death, everyone wakes up like, oh my God, I have time. And everyone woke up and everyone started working. And then over time, that fire just gets extinguished because you're burning a lot of it, And when you're older, your fire still burns, it just burns differently. You know how it is. When we were 16, it's like that fire is burning hot and tall and everyone feels it. When you're older, your fire still burns, but it's a nice controlled cool blue flame. It's still there, but it's being fed by wisdom and experiences. And some of those experiences are good, some of those experiences are bad, and it dulls it a little bit, but you can still keep your hands warm. Like you're close enough to the fire to stay warm, but not to get burned. Because again, we have families, we have mortgages, we have careers, and we have responsibilities. But your lack of consistency, it's where everyone fails. You got to keep on going. You have to commit yourself to creating something. Do something within the realm of your ability that you can maintain for at least a year or two,
Yeah.
And as you go along, it's like a pentatonic shape. Like at first it's hard and then it becomes routine and it's muscle memory, and that's what a workflow is.
Yeah.
Put your camera up. Okay, my camera's gonna look like this. And oh, I see that thing over there. I'm gonna fix that, And then
Yeah.
you start to refine it, and you start to tell a story, because the thing is, it's they're going to see a thumbnail before anything they hear, before they hear you play. um I'm sorry, I think it did it pause, or did it, are we
Yeah.
good?
Pause just a second. Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay,
clicked.
sorry about that.
No, no, no. No worries.
But the thing is, someone's going to see you first. They're going to see a thumbnail, they're going to see artwork, and that's an opportunity to reel them in, So I know some people just don't care about aesthetics, but even if you don't care about aesthetics,
Yeah.
you're still communicating something to someone. You're communicating that you don't care about aesthetics. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a good thing because maybe you're that good. Like Matteo Mancuso, he goes up in a hoodie and sweatpants and he's incredible. That's
Right.
okay for him. That's okay for him because he compensates with his amazing guitar playing, right? But it's a road that I can keep going down. So Matteo Mancuso, like just unbelievable. Like I just like, come on, dude. Like just unbelievable guitar player. The vocabulary, the phrasing, the confidence, the control. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on and on and on. And and then you think about, what's his priority? Is his priority being an amazing guitar player, or is his priority being a good songwriter? Well, let's see what people relate to. Well, when you see clips of him playing, like it's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, but then you go to his Spotify and it's only 55,000 or 60,000 or 30,000. You're like, oh, wait a second. Okay, so what is it that what's his thing? His
Yeah.
thing is being a remarkable guitar player, right? Where guys like maybe like Mike Dawes, one of my best friends. I love Mike Dawes. Like, incredible technically, but holy crap, could he write a song? Tommy
Yeah.
Emmanuel, holy crap, he's incredible. Can he can write a song? Satriani's incredible. My God, he could write a song.
Yeah.
So everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, man. Um, and if you're just honest with what you want to strengthen and what you want to what you're okay with not being amazing at, great, that's fine, but yeah, that's just my whole thing in terms of like what people struggle with the most. It's just consistency, man. It's just consistency.
Do you have a wide mix of folks, clients that are in the YouTube space that are creating content, uh, interspersed with folks that were like yourself that wants to make a career, or folks that may be in a band? Is it kind of all over the map? I mean,
So it's interesting. I will say, in the musician pool, I would say it's 65% people who want to, songwriters,
so,
artists with
okay.
who want to do that thing, and then 35% content creators. I approach both of those completely different. There's different rules to both. Um, because it's harder to be consistent when you're an artist, and it takes you years to write a song. It's hard. It's very, very difficult. But you have to play the content creator game to some extent, because here's the thing: content creators trained the algorithm and they trained the internet's audience to expecting X, Y, and Z in this time frame, meaning a post a day or
Right.
every other day. They've just fundamentally changed the industry by training an audience to expect something every day. Now, artists like myself, I mean, sometimes I mean, between 2017 and 2023, like there was a gap. Like I released my album Synapse in 2017, and then 2023 was when I released Away with Words Part 2.
Yeah.
So that's, and furthermore, I built a majority of my career on three EPs, not albums, but EPs, which is that's very rare. Like it's very rare that people aren't, that A, you're not releasing an album every couple of years, but also that you're not releasing an album. You're
Yeah.
giving people a couple of songs, but you're trying to make those songs count. And you're branding them in a way that is you're hoping will reach people and that's going to be impactful enough to keep their attention so that it has high replay value. Um, but then I also have I've worked with a couple different brands. I mean, we've done branding and marketing for all sorts of brands, like music brands, instrument brands. At one time, we had this this was a fun project. We had a really high end hair salon that was all musicians,
Oh, cool.
and it was it was a mom and pop place. And it was out in Indiana or something like that. I can't remember. It was a couple years ago, but my God, it was so much fun. Because they were near a venue, and they would notice a lot of musicians would come to get their haircut mid-tour, and it just became a thing. And they would play my music at the barber all the time, and people would always ask, "Oh, who is this? This is incredible!"
Yeah.
Because they also had a tattoo shop that was like the same. They shared a similar space. It was a huge space, um, and they got wind of me through the tattoo shop, and then they started playing. Anyway, so it's honestly you're communicating things in a way that reaches the language of the people that you're trying to grab, right? So, yeah, is branding branding messaging and stuff like that is it's sort of universal. You just have to, we have this onboarding process where we just try to get to know the people and really truly what is it that they want to do, and from
Yeah.
there there's a whole process that we do. But yeah, I would say if in the musician sphere, like 70-30, 65-35 musician to content creator.
Is there any way that you can email me your information? Because it would be great to have that information and the links for people who are watching this that may be pretty far down the road, but needing to get that next push, that
Oh,
know
absolutely.
they know your music and they just are watching this and like, wow, this guy also can help coach me. That might be a huge asset for folks that didn't realize that you do, because that was something that I was not aware of, and that's really exciting.
Oh,
So
listen, I love to.
tell me your information. I'd love to have that in the link in the
Oh,
description.
I appreciate that, man. Absolutely, I'd love to. And I mean, one of our newest clients obviously is Steve Morse. We've been doing all of
Yeah,
his, everything that you've seen change recently, the new website, the
yeah,
quality of the posts and whatnot.
really incredibly well done. I've seen a lot. I'm a big fan of his, so I've been following all the information about the tour and some of the posts and all. Yeah, it looks really great. Really,
Oh, thank you so much. I
yeah,
mean, he makes it easy. And it's very much a team effort. We don't ever go into something bulldozing someone's vision. It's always a matter of amplifying that vision with the right voltage and
right.
electricity. With clean energy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's little details like that. But yeah, like obviously, I'll send you the info. But if you go to zenithcouncil.com, you could
okay,
find all sorts of information on the company. We've done obviously Steve Morse. We've done some projects with Al Di Meola.
yeah,
Anything Charvel that has to do with the Nova, we've done all that. Yeah, it's an incredible privilege, man. It
yeah,
really is. It's just I'm so grateful every single day. It's just
yeah.
amazing.
Fabulous conversation. There's so much. I've learned a lot about you, and just very generous with your knowledge and your time, and your passion for guitar is very contagious. You know.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear, man. I really appreciate that, and thank you again for having me in mind for this wonderful convo. I had a great time, and again, thank you for the viewers. If you made it this long into the conversation, like
Oh,
props
yeah.
for your your
Yeah.
attention span
Thanks
taken
so
care of.
much. I'm a huge fan. Thank you. Great,
Dude, thank
great.
you so much, John. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye bye.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. That wraps up today's Guitar Hang with Angel Vivaldi. What an incredible conversation. I love diving into his approach to creativity, discipline, and the way he blends music with purpose and style. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow guitarist who could use some inspiration from Angel's journey. You can catch more episodes, lessons, and community hangs over at John's Guitar Lounge on the School platform. Come join the fun. Until next time, keep your tone sweet, your phrasing soulful, and remember, it's all about the guitar hang.